Hello, people. It's your boy Usmaan back again. Finally, with another Rival Fan podcast. We're heavily Spurs have got into the final. All the Spurs fans are here. You know how it works. There's no Arsenal fans here. West Ham down in the dumps. Lawless is bottled. No, I'm joking. Obviously, they got a game. But listen, we've got a lot to discuss, as you can imagine. We've not been here in a while. The last time we did the show, Daniel thought they're going to win the league. Now they're fighting Arsenal for relegation. A lot has changed in a couple of weeks. It is what it is. Make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel. But without further ado, let's introduce the guest. On my left, the man, the homie, Toby. What you saying, brother?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Thanks for having me again, man. Thanks for inviting me on.
Absolute pleasure. Obviously, I've already introduced him, but the man from Eyes in the Ball TV, Daniel, what you saying, brother?
I'm good, man. Good to be back on after a long break out. So yeah, man.
I had to let a man's in it just to relax him now. It is what it is, isn't it? And last but not least, Kish, also fellow Spurs fan, the homie. You're in a final, bro. How you feeling, man?
Yeah, first of all, it's good to be back. First of all, good evening. It's good to be back. And listen, at the moment, being a Spurs fan, it's not the worst, is it? So hopefully the ride continues.
Yeah, absolutely. But look, let's try to get this in here first and foremost. Man, I lost to Man City, but the truth is, it's a small cup. I didn't really care about it anyways. Not that I wanted to get through to the final and win it, but I'm obviously taking the piss. But let's touch upon Tottenham Hotspur first and foremost, and then we'll go into the FA Cup draw very shortly. As we kind of mentioned, Daniel, we'll start with you first and foremost. Spurs currently sat in fourth, 16 games played, a game in hand over Leicester. If they win that game, they go third. We kind of been talking about Spurs in the title race earlier in the sort of shows. Do you feel they're still in the title race, or do you think that's just getting ahead of myself?
No, if we're talking about the table, yeah, of course they're still in the title race. I mean, there's a number of clubs still in the title race. If you're talking about my opinion, I don't think Tottenham can sustain it till the end, just based on the quality. I think what Pep said is very true. He said, look, the cream will always rise to the crop. I think Man City and Liverpool are still the best teams by far. Man City are looking like the most informed team right now. They're looking good, playing well. But in terms of the facts there, if you ask someone who don't watch football, who do you think's in the title race, look at the points. It's 3 points for a team who wins a game. Tottenham are still there, and they've got Jose Mourinho. They've got one of the best managers who knows how to maneuver his way past things. Look, if they're there and thereabouts at the end of it, when we get to March, April, May times, I wouldn't be surprised. It's Jose Mourinho we're talking about. We have to put a bit of respect on his name. But in my opinion, do I think Tottenham can go all the way and really challenge and be there maybe the last couple of weeks? I don't think so. I think this season, anyways, it's a bit of a stretch with the squad they have. But yeah.
Yeah, Toby, just to bring you in there, obviously, I know you're not a huge fan of Jose Mourinho, but do you think he's kind of getting unfair criticism, as I've already mentioned? You're in a final, granted it's a Carabao Cup, but as a Spurs fan, I'm sure yourself and Kish would probably say it doesn't really matter what final it is. You just need to get a trophy under your belt. And also, in terms of the league table as it currently stands, you're literally 3 points off Liverpool, if I'm not mistaken, 4 points off Liverpool, having played the same games. Do you think there's a slight overreaction within the Spurs fan base? I'm seeing a lot of people melting down on Twitter, although you can't really take opinions from Twitter these days, can you? But how are you feeling regarding the current situation?
I think the current situation overall, you would say he's doing a good job this season, and I don't think you'll come across a lot of Spurs fans who will say he's performed badly enough to get the sack this season. But what a lot of Spurs fans, including me, don't like is when we're dropping silly points because of his tactical decisions, when we're going against sides that we should be able to attack, we should be able to come out and actually play some football. And he either doesn't opt for us to do so, or we can't because we're not being coached to do so game to game. And I think those are the issues which he needs to rectify. If he ever wanted to get himself endeared into Spurs fans like myself and many others, then change. At the start of the season, we played 5 games in the league. We had scored something like 15 goals or something like that. We had top 5 highest chance creation in the league. It was clear to see that he was able to balance defense and attack properly well. No one complained when he went to Anfield and parked the bus for the first half and went at them in the second half. Even that ugly second half at Stamford Bridge, you didn't really find many complaints because in the end of the day, it's a point. You're playing a bigger side. You're playing the side who wants the ball more. But when we are up against sides that we are actually better than, we need to show we're better than them. And that's the problem with Jose Mourinho. We don't show we're better than them. We give the opposition too many chances to get at us. And when they do get at us, we're surprised when we're not leaving with 3 points. That's my big issue with him. And yeah, you could say that the criticism is slightly harsh, but in some cases this season it's been warranted.
Yeah, no, I personally agree with you. Like, I think it's a bit of a weird one because like you mentioned at the start of the season, you were absolutely flying. Everyone was talking about Spurs being the informed team. When you actually went to Anfield prior to that game kicking off, everyone was talking about this is not make or break, but in terms of if Spurs are within the chance of winning the title, they need to put down a marker. And to be fair to you, I thought you were very good in that game for large parts in terms of tactically. You did what you expect to do. But in terms of Jose Mourinho, like the thing that, the thing that used to piss me off at Man United was that we 1-0 up, right? And 25, 30 minutes ago, we 1-0 up, you started well, and then he just parked the bus and just rest on his laurels. And I'm seeing the same patterns occur now at Tottenham, Kish. Like in terms of Jose Mourinho moving forward, how important is it for him to win this trophy? Because without this trophy, a lot of fans are going to start looking at the football, aren't they? It's not good enough, really.
It's very, very touch and go, to be honest. And it's reminiscent of his first season at Man United, where he basically dropped his first team players for the league because he knew that kind of top four was, it was unassailable, and he went all out for the Europa League. But that's literally what Jose is so good at. He puts himself at that risk because, let's be honest, if you didn't win the Europa League that season, it would have been a massive failure of a season for Manchester. You were 7th, 8th in the league?
Yeah, I think it's 6th.
I don't think, however, he can do that at Tottenham, in my opinion, because a couple of situations, he's had the backing from Daniel Levy. Daniel Levy's been known to not, with Pochettino, whether you can admit it or not, he didn't back Pochettino in his last season in charge. He didn't get the players that Pochettino wanted, let's be honest. Whereas Mourinho, you know what you're going to get, and he's given him the tools. Again, it's similar to Toby. Do I agree in terms of the football that we play? No, it's dire. The game against Wolves, for example, we scored in the first minute, and then we had a couple of opportunities to make it 2-0. But then after then, it was dire football. It was very, very laboured. No one really, had any attacking intent. It was very, you break us now, rather than for us to kill the game off, score, another 2 goals, 3-0, 2-0, and it's finished. There's too many times this season where we've taken a lead against it. I think we must be near the top for losing leads in games. West Ham, Newcastle, Crystal Palace.
That West Ham game, by the way.
If you take them games out, Palace, Wolves, Newcastle, West Ham, that's 12 points. Do you know what I mean?
Liverpool as well. Even if Liverpool.
Yeah, you should have won that. I think that Liverpool game, that probably hurt you more than you lot. Because
it's frustrating.
Bro, how did you bottle that one?
Exactly. No matter what you say about the Newcastle game, we were robbed in the end, and we were, it was never a pen, but we didn't take our opportunities. We didn't do it. And against the game that really frustrated me were the Palace game and the Wolves game, where we were dominant, for that first half of both games, and we just didn't push on. And I think against the lower opposition in the league, with the attacking talent we have, he can't sit back the way he does, because it's, for me as a Tottenham fan, I get to the stage where I think I actually I was falling asleep in the second half against Wolves, because it was and it takes for us to concede a goal to wake up against Palace for the last 10 minutes.
That's exactly how we were.
That last 10 minutes, it was Guaita that was literally saving them. We had 2-3 opportunities on the bounce that we should have won it in the end, really.
Yeah.
But why can't we play like that throughout? And I think, again, that leads back to my point on Mourinho and his defense. I don't think he fully trusts his defense, because he's got Dyer, but he keeps changing Dyer with Alderweireld, Sanchez. He doesn't seem settled with that back four. And I think against Southampton, where we played really well, we could have conceded 4 or 5 goals in that game as well. It wasn't as if it was
easily. The first half, yeah.
So I think Mourinho has been scared ever since those sort of games that he needs to sit back to hold tight. But again, you know, if at the end of the day, if he gets the trophies on the board and gets us top 4, then you can't argue the man. You know, he will probably be, you know, if he wins the FA Cup and the League Cup and top 4, he's done more in one season.
If he wins more,
yeah,
you don't win a trophy in about how many years? 15.
Exactly,
16 years.
And with the League Cup, it's funny because I saw Daniel's tweet. You know, as soon as we won it, that it's like a Farmers Cup or something like that. every fan says that when they're no longer in it. It's always the case. If you remember Chelsea won the League Cup for God knows how many occasions. I think it must be Mourinho must have won it 2-3 times there. You know, you guys won it like 7-8 times altogether.
It's been
exactly. So for me, I think it's a massive trophy to win because it's the first one to get on the board, and I think on paper it's the easiest one to get on the board. So for us to April get that trophy out of the way and still be in contention for others, I think we'll never.
You could even make the argument that if we beat you on penalties, we would be in the final. Like we would. So yeah, man, it's literally that. But even to go off the point that you mentioned about Mourinho, I think one thing that I would always say is about these top class managers, what they are is they're traditionalists, and the reason why I always call them that is that they always they go back to what they know and they stick with it. They're stubborn in that. The one thing about Mourinho that Mourinho loves to do is, and it worked at Chelsea, but it doesn't work in today's day and age. And that's one thing I agree with Toby in terms of he needs to be able to change and needs to be able to adapt. Of course, we're reacting to games on a game-by-game basis, so we don't know what it's going to be at the end of the season. But if we're looking at it with what Mourinho is doing, he's trying to go 1-0 up and then basically sit back. And if you remember the Chelsea teams of old, he could go 1-0 up and basically shut up shop and basically say,
I believe John Terry and
do you know what I'm saying? And it worked, but it can't work now, innit? And that's one thing I'll definitely agree with. And on top of that, when Tottenham were going on the run, what was the one thing me, Usmaan, we were all saying it? We said, look, do we really trust Aurier, Alderweireld, Dyer, and whoever the left back is on a game-to-game basis?
Left back's a baller, to be fair.
Reguilon's playing well, but sometimes he changes. He's been changed. Obviously,
defensively, Reguilon's a bit. He does struggle. And to be fair, Aurier for me,
I don't know about defensively. I think season he's been sound for us, man. I do get your point. That was probably one of the weak points when we signed him. Oh, how good is this guy going to be defensively? But I don't think he's put a foot wrong since that debut that he had at Chelsea, where he made that mistake and he even rectified it with the brilliant performance he had after that. Yeah. I personally think that for me, I can never consider Spurs winning this league because bottom line, we don't have the best manager in the league and we don't have a squad good enough to win the league. It's that simple for me. We're not going to win the league, but I've always maintained that I will not consider Tottenham as title rivals unless we're there or thereabouts heading into the business end of the season.
Yeah.
For me, that business end is the business end for me either starts somewhere early or mid-February-ish. Once you've hit the maybe like 22, 23, 24 mark in terms of games played, that's when it starts. And you're there, February/March, that's when you're like, okay, cool. Yeah, definitely. You know what? Maybe we have a chance. Maybe we have a chance to try and get a little something there. So,
if I ask you and Kish a question though, would there ever be a point in terms of where you are in the season or where you are in the league table where you would say, I kind of expect now us to finish in the top 2, if not first, at least second? Where do you need to be? Or you don't
never with Spurs because you
fair enough.
The thing is, you might have a winning manager, but if you don't have the players that have that same experience, no matter how much into them, if you saw Dyer's interview the other day, I think after the semi-final win against Brentford, he said the players are hungry, and that's the one thing that Mourinho's brought into them, that you have to get those trophies on the board, but. He's saying it, but if you've not got that experience, people say Lloris was won a World Cup, other players have won tournaments, but they've not won anything for Spurs. Yeah. So until you win trophies for your club, I think it's a massive difference. Look at with Man City. When Man City under the ownership won, I think it was the League Cup was the first trophy that they won.
Well, yeah, it was.
They got that on the board. It was literally glittered with trophies.
Yeah, but Kish, You've got to remember you have got Kylian, Vinicius, and Mbappe, though, innit?
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Celebrating this.
There isn't. He's been doing it. He's been doing it his whole career.
Exactly. What's wrong with that?
No, I just find it flipping hilarious. Man can see from his backyard. I told you I was going to throw this to you because obviously you kind of spoken about players and obviously mentality, etc. Eriksen, linked heavily back to Tottenham Hotspur. You know, we know the manner in which we left. We've seen in the documentary. Would you take him back in this January window?
If we can't sign Sabitzer, absolutely. I would take him back on a 6-month contract. I wouldn't sign him up on a 3 or 4 year deal or whatever, but I would definitely take, if Sabitzer can't be done, take him back. 6-month contract. It's clear to see that we need another creator in this team. Lo Celso is always injured, and even when he's fit, yes, he's a good player, but he's not a playmaker. He can't play that eye of the needle pass. He can't. Dele Alli is out of favor with the manager, and again, he's not a playmaker. These are players who can create chances, but they are not playmakers. There's a difference between being able to create a chance and being a natural playmaker. We don't have a creator in that advanced area, which is why you're seeing our most creative midfielder playing as a number 10. He's a number 8. And he's playing as a number 10, which tells you what you need to know. We need someone to play in that position. And especially when the manager is going to opt and not play a 4-3-3 and wants to play a 4-2-3-1 shape with Sissoko and Højbjerg or whoever he chooses the midfield double pivot. We need someone in the final third who will always make the right decision, or better yet, make the right decision more often than not. And we don't have someone in the team currently to do that in the advanced areas outside of Ndombele. So for me, I would take Eriksen back on the condition that we don't have the money to sign Sabitzer, and I would take him back on a 6-month loan deal.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree. That's Sabitzer's a baller, by the way. Every time I've seen this guy play, he's pure quality. So I've seen you guys linked to him. He would be a fantastic signing. But Kish, what do you reckon regarding Eriksen? I know you're a huge fan, obviously.
To be fair, Daniel might laugh at this, but I think he could have the same impact that Fabregas had when he went to Chelsea, because you look at the two players at the moment. Again, I knew it. No, hear me out.
Let's go and us the league. Remember that.
No. Hear me out. The reason why I say that is at the moment we've got two players that we're literally fully reliant on, Son and Kane. They have to play, because if they don't, there's no goals from anywhere else. There's not been a single player in the Premier League since Eriksen has been in there that has created as many opportunities. So what I'm trying to say to you is, you bring him in that team with Son and Kane and under the management of Mourinho and the way he plays, he then has a spark from all three. Because if you then put Eriksen in that team, you no longer have to rely on Kane applying the service to Son, because you've got Eriksen who can do that on his own as well. And also, no one else in that team. What I'm saying is, the fact that no one else in our team, bar Son and Kane, gets the goals, Eriksen can still do that. If you look at our highest goal scorer, bar Son and Kane, I genuinely think it's Bale with like 4 goals, 4 goals.
It'll be Vinicius.
Vinicius
he doesn't play in the league. So you're right. If you look at it in the league, I think the next highest scorer after Kane and Son is probably Ndombele. And
what I will say about Eriksen though is that the advantage that you get with Eriksen is you get a player that you already know in it. So he comes in and slots in straight away. There's no settling in period. Comes in, the chemistry's there. I don't know about the impact of Fabregas, but I do think he kind of have an impact in terms of the creation of chances. You get someone who's able. Look, the thing I loved about Eriksen is he can not only create in the 10 position, but he can also create from deep. He's got a very, very nice long ball as well. And this, with the way you like to counter attack, there's a direct ball always available if you're playing Eriksen on the pitch. So
I think with Eriksen, the only doubt is the same reason why we wanted him gone in the last 3-4 months. In fact, the last 6-7 months of his Spurs career was horrible, absolutely horrible. He's without a doubt the worst football he's played for us. And it got to the point where fans were like, you know what, it's for the best. He served us well, but it's clear to see that this isn't, his heart's not in it, and this ain't the same player anymore. Now, the issue when you take Eriksen back is you will have to accept that he's going to put up stinkers. He's going to put up stinkers. He's not the same player he used to be before. But in amongst those stinkers, is he going to be able to create chances in the game? Is he going to be able to occupy those smart number 10 positions that in between the lines, which will allow the likes of Ndombele to operate from much deeper on the pitch? If the answer is yes, then take him back. It's that simple. Short-term fix, take him back, and then reevaluate what you need to do with that position long-term in the summer.
I completely agree. I think you 100% should take him back, because look, obviously it's not worked out at Inter Milan for whatever reason. And as Daniel rightfully said, the chemistry is already going to be there. You know, he's played with Son and Kane for what, 4 to 5 years now. These guys, you're just missing that link, because at the moment, as Kish has mentioned, you're too reliant on Kane and Son. Me and Kish always have this debate: who's more important to Tottenham team, Kane or Son? Obviously, you know, I'd love to get your thoughts on that as well. But in terms of you need another outlet, you can't be relaxed, because Kane's going to get injured. Let's be real. At some point, he normally does get injured. You know, I don't think Son's going to get injured. Hopefully not. But you need another option, and I think his quality from set pieces as well is going to help massively. But speaking of creative midfielders, I want to mention another one. You know, I've not spoken about him enough of late. A certain man has been calling for his head. But he stepped up against you, didn't he, Daniel? Kevin De Bruyne. Oh, Toby, listen, I've been waiting for this moment. Daniel's been slanging off De Bruyne all season.
No, I have not. No, I have
he's
not.
not a clutch player. And then man race for Chelsea. Obviously, by United as well. But forget us, because, you know, I never slagged him off. Daniel, listen, Chelsea getting just slapped up by everyone at the moment. What's happening? Frank Lampard, you know, I think I've seen you say Frank Lampard out as well on Twitter for the first time.
I didn't. The thing is, look,
was that like you?
Nah, that wasn't me, man. Come on, I'm not part of these agendas. But what I will say is, look, in terms of the Man City game, I think a lot of Chelsea fans focus too much on that game as a whole, rather than looking at it as it was an accumulation. Look, that smacking was coming. Let's be honest, we weren't playing well. Let's go back all the way to the Everton game. We were making excuses for our team. We said, oh, okay, cool, we lost 1-0 because they got a penalty. They had their fans back in the stadium, so it's cool. Let's bounce back against Wolves. What happens against Wolves? It's 1-1. We go 1-0, and then we can't close the job. We can't even get a point. We make excuses. We say, all right, cool, let's go to the weekend. We got West Ham. We actually did the talk about West Ham and everything. That game, we deserve to lose that game. Let's not get it twisted. We just went through like a nice 10-minute patch where we scored 3 goals, and we got the job done. But on the balance of play, we did not deserve to win that game. Aston Villa, again, same thing. Didn't deserve to win that game. Too slow, too lethargic. It just goes to show that it's either we're slowing down, or again, Lampard needs to freshen things up and show a little bit of bottle in terms of how he's playing and how we're playing as a team. On all the Chelsea fan channels that I've done, I've been dragged here and there, like asking like Lampard out, this and that. But really and truly, let's if I'm cutting him slack, which I don't want to do at all, because I honestly believe Lampard needs to do better in terms of his tactics and how players are performing, and also sticking to his word, because I've told you, I felt disrespected by some of the things he said as a manager. Look, as Chelsea fans, he's the first manager in a long time that we've literally taken to his word. And when he's saying to us that he's playing players based on meritocracy, and we're not seeing the players who are the form players playing, then it's almost like a slap in the face. It's like, you're not doing what you're saying you were meant to be doing. But in terms of his tactics, it just needs to be better. Where I'm going to cut him a bit of slack is he's not had continuity in his ideal team. So the preconceived ideas of the team that he wants, he's not had continuity in that.
Yeah, but Mason Mount's going to be playing regardless of what you think his ideal team is.
No, he's talking about injuries. You're talking about injuries.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about. I'm not making. This is what I'm saying. I really don't want. It's not an excuse. What I will say though is that, in terms of Chelsea, what people need to understand is, what were the expectations going into the season? The expectations going into the season were to make sure that we finish in the top 4. I wanted it to be more comfortable, but as we've seen the season progress, we've seen that no one's getting anything comfortably. So the expectation for me, I always say, when the facts change, the opinions have to change too. The expectation is to still get top 4, but it can't be as comfortable as I thought it would be. Look, we're in a bad position. Look, you can banter. I know you're still going to banter. We're closer to Arsenal.
I'll just let you have your say.
Yeah. You can say that, but at the end of the day, all it takes is 2 games. Look how quickly it span for Man United to get into the title race. Look how quickly it span for Tottenham to get back.
Look, first and foremost, the table's very close in here. But Toby, we can't ignore the fact that when the transfer window closed, every single Chelsea fan, maybe not Daniel, to be fair, he's you know, one of the homies, but every single Chelsea fan was running in their mouth, we're going to win the league, we've got Havertz is better than Kane, Havertz is better than X, Y, and Z, flipping next one's better than Kane, flipping Pulisic is better than Son. You know, you heard all the comparisons. Look, the squad is still very good. I do agree that. But Toby, is it not? It's just beautiful to see a bit of humble
Yes,
vibes in Chelsea fans, isn't it?
it's sweet. It's sweet nectar to drink because it wasn't just Chelsea. It wasn't just Chelsea fans. It was other opposition fans who got lost in the sauce and saw all these shiny players that Chelsea were buying. I'm buying this person, that person, this person, that person, and they just thought, yeah. All of a sudden, Chelsea are now going to become a better team than Liverpool. All of a sudden, Chelsea are now going to become a better team than Man City. My mandate for Frank Lampard this season wasn't even to win the league because I was never expecting Chelsea to win the league. Never. They could have signed Ronaldinho for all I cared. They were never going to win the league this season because they're not better than the two sides that everyone expects to win the league. And second of all, they don't have a manager that's good enough to take them to the league title. My mandate for Frank Lampard this season was to try and win a trophy and to completely close off that humongous gap that he had between the first spot and Chelsea last year. I think what we're seeing this season is that this is very much a manager who's finding his feet in management at the worst possible club because you're not going to be afforded a break. You're not going to be afforded the time to make mistakes. Last season, you already got the grace period because they weren't able to sign any players until January.
But that's what's key, though, Toby. That's what's key. That's what I've continued to say. That's what people in the Chelsea fan base haven't understood when I've gone on these channels. I've said the reason why Lampard is so under pressure now is because he overachieved in the first season. So people have thought the natural elevation was.
I don't think it's.
I don't think he overachieved.
I think we did. Look at our squad.
How did he overachieve?
You signed
because
about 8 players.
No. Last season with the squad that we had.
I'm on about now. The standards aren't. He got top 4, so we should have minimum. The standards are high because you spent 250 million.
I don't think it's just that though. If Lampard,
listen,
Usmaan, one question quickly. Usmaan, quick question. If we finish 6th or 7th and we spent that 200 million, you would not be saying you expected us to win the league. You wouldn't say that. I don't believe you would say that because that's never happened in the history of football. There's not a natural progression to go from 7th to 1st. It's never happened. Listen,
I understand what you're saying, but when a team buys every single position they need, right? You know, you bought a 75 million or whatever his price tag is, Arisa Balaga, right? And then a team goes and replaces that kind of goalkeeper in terms of money. So you spend another 30 million on a goalkeeper. You buy a centre back, which is what everyone said you needed. You buy a left back. You buy a flipping striker. You buy attacking mid. You literally bought every single position you needed according to your fan base, right? And according to most people that look from the outside in. And to say that he shouldn't at least be achieving top 4 with that level of spend, when you've seen
I'm not saying I expect that. I expect that.
I'm saying it's nothing to do with last season. My expectations on Lampard are based on the fact that you signed so many quality players in so many areas, and also on top of that, you still had quality. You've still got Kante there. Okay, granted, you know he's not been as consistent as we would expect, but he's still world class to me. Kovacic, bowler, still a quality player. You've still got quality in that team. You just added to it. So to say that our sort of expectations are based on the fact that he overachieved last season, getting top 4, fair play to him. But let's be real, Man United came 3rd. That just shows how shit the league was. Let's be real and let's cut the bullshit. He didn't overachieve. Everyone else was terrible. He came 3rd, Daniel. Come on, man.
No, I agree.
He finished 4th on like 60. What was it like 60?
Yeah, the lowest point. Yeah.
So, and if you look at the season before that, I remember we got top 4 by the skin of our teeth, on 70 points, and that was easily our worst season in the league in years. We literally didn't win away from home from around January onwards, and we lost around 80% of our games. So how can you say that he overachieved last year? I don't think he overachieved last year. I think the standard of the league was incredibly poor.
Yeah,
and I think he did just about enough to clinch top 4. And even then, if not for Leicester's complete implosion,
we're 14 points behind Leicester.
He ain't getting top 4.
And that's where I'm coming in, because when we talk about, look, like I just said, when we change the expectations based on how the season pans out, that's fair enough. But going into the season when Lampard was first hired, I can guarantee you every single fan said Chelsea would finish 5th at best.
Yeah, but you can say the same for Man United, though.
I'm not gonna lie, I said 5th.
No, but Man United were predicted to finish higher than that Chelsea team. Am I lying?
We had
Fair enough. I predicted Man United to finish in the top 4.
Well, I didn't. But listen, the point I'm trying to make is regarding what I'm saying is, fair enough how your sort of anticipation or predictions are at the start of the season. You know, obviously it's a long season, a lot can change, as Bruno Fernandes has demonstrated that. The point being is, come the second end of the season or the business end of the season, Chelsea should be getting top 4 with the standard of the season.
100%. I agree.
And so for me personally, as the season panned out, you could quite clearly see he didn't overachieve. He did what you'd expect because everyone else was shit. Man United came third. If that's not demonstration of how...
I think if you're going to class a team as overachieving last season, you'd say Man United. Because if you look to the summer, they didn't get the players that they wanted. Bruno Fernandes, they were trying to get in the summer. Didn't happen.
January,
And everyone said that, United will finish as low as 6th this season. Then January happened, and then they got top 4 in the end. So I think the way Toby even mentioned, the way the league panned out, again, I feel like at the beginning of the season...
Coach just kind of put this point here, which I think is completely perfect. Obviously, coach of the whole meet. United finished on 66 points and third last season. Previous year, finished on the exact same points, and we finished 6th, which clearly demonstrates how shit the league was. And I completely agree with him.
The thing is, though, like in terms of... No, but the thing is, look, what I'm trying to say, I'm basically explaining is that with this Chelsea team, of course, top 4 is like literally minimal expectations of Chelsea. Like we were trying to finish third and close the gap. But to people who are saying stuff like we should be challenging, look, there are reasons as to why there hasn't been continuity in the team, whether it be injuries, whether it be not having a preseason. Of course, these are things that everyone has had to go through. But when you're integrating a team of 6 signings, where it's not just 6 signings who come to be squad players, it's 6 signings who all come and start in your team, it's going to take more than just a couple of games here and there, especially when things are back-to-back. Tammy Abraham came out and said it. And as much as I don't like to hear excuses from players in that, I actually agree with him. He said we're still learning about each other's game on a day-to-day basis. Like, we don't even train every day and we're still trying to learn from each other. Look, at the end of the day, Toby, all I'm saying is, look, when it all comes, look, I don't do this like, we're gonna win the league and stuff. But when it all is said and done, if we're not in the top 4, Frank Lampard will get sacked. As simple as.
I think even if you are in the top 4, he's not going to make it past the season.
I think you should get sacked.
Make it past the season because as we've seen from Chelsea in recent years, in fact, as we've seen from Chelsea under Roman Abramovich in general, top 4 alone is not enough when you're spending that kind of money. There has to be something coming in the trophy cabinet, or there has to be some sort of substantial push against the top 2. There has to be. I do think he'll be given the chance for next season. Why would you give him a chance? I'm not saying I agree. No, I'm saying you said you think he would be. I'm saying why? Why do you think that?
The reason why I think is because it's different circumstances, isn't it? When Lampard came, because of who Lampard is, like there. As much as we as fans, we analyze it and say, sentiment shouldn't be involved, blah blah blah, this and that. Sentiment is involved when it comes to Frank Lampard.
That's how he got the job, and
exactly, of course. But that's what I'm saying. The sentiment got him the job. The sentiment is not going to let him keep the job if he doesn't make a more respectable push of this top 4, top 3 challenge and get closer to the top 2. I'm not even trying to say that Chelsea.
I agree.
The fact is, if it was any other manager right now, he'd be sacked. The fact that it's Lampard is AVB.
I don't think it's that.
That's the point.
The managers have been sacked. Scolari was sacked after what? 3 months, 2 months, something like that.
Yeah, but the only points behind you, Kish.
And this is what I keep saying. It's different circumstances. I understand what the common trend with Roman Abramovich, but what you need to understand is he got hired. Like Roman, this is not a Roman Abramovich hiring. Lampard isn't this is different. What we tried to do is do this copycat thing of trying to build a process with a manager, trying to build from the bottom up and do all of this. Look, at the end of the day, I do believe he will be given, if he gets in the top 4, he'll be given a chance to show he can challenge. But of course, I personally don't think the question is, can Lampard win us the league title? And I personally don't think so. And that's where the line ends.
Yeah, I just think you need a seasoned manager, in my opinion. You said
I think they should keep Lampard, to be honest.
Yeah, when was the last season?
Stop putting shit into Abramovich's head.
No, but what I'm saying is, you said a team never goes from 7th to 1st. Conte did it at Chelsea. The season before, you came 7th or 8th.
That team
after you won the league. But what
factor it in.
But what I'm saying is it was pretty much the same squad. It hadn't changed very much. Do you know what I mean? So the fact that he got the team from 8th to winning the league the season after, you put a better manager with those squad of players, you can't tell me that you'd be in the position right now.
The difference with what I would say is the difference with that is that team was filled with winners. We bought. I don't even want to get into that.
You got your boy Thiago, man.
Lampard is
Come on.
The guy who you said was going to be a flop in the league. Just bearing that in mind.
Because your defense has been brilliant of late, hasn't it? So.
What? So he's a flop now? Is he a flop? Is he a flop?
Well, it's a long season. I might
take him right now. You take him right now.
Nah, we got Maguire.
Oh yeah.
Listen, let's move on to the other team. Obviously, look, I hear your point. I kind of want to make the point that I said this to Kish yesterday on the radio show. It's too tight at the moment, really. Let's just do hypotheticals, right? It might not lose the next game, so we got Burnley tomorrow. If we lose to Sean Dyche, and realistically we can't lose to obviously Liverpool, so that's 2 L's in a row, and everyone else next to us wins. We're literally 6th, so we're top of the league to 6th. That's how close it is at the moment. And with Chelsea as well, we're sat here talking about it's doom and gloom at Chelsea. Well, if Spurs lose the next game and Chelsea win, Chelsea go above them. So what does that mean for Spurs then? If it's what I'm saying is it's that tight at the moment. I still think
you're right.
A lot of things are going to change. We're going to be tight.
Fulham.
We got Fulham.
I think. Yeah. So it should be like
after then.
I hear your point, Usmaan. But for me personally, at the start of the season, before a ball was kicked, after a ball was kicked, after the transfer window closed, my predictions for top 4 were Liverpool, Man City, Tottenham, Chelsea. We're now what 17 games into the season, and the only change I can see to that top 4 prediction is maybe Man United taking 4th spot of Chelsea. I haven't changed my opinion on us. I haven't changed my opinion on Man City, and I haven't changed my opinion on Liverpool. I think that all of these teams are not title contenders yet, and that includes Spurs as well. Teams like Man United, Spurs, Chelsea. If you're in the mix heading into the business end, same thing I said to Spurs, then by default, there's only so many games we can go without calling these title challenges. Because really and truly, if you're neck and neck, 20-something games played in, and you only have, 10, 11 games left, then by default, of course you're in a race. Of course you're in a race. Anything can happen. So for me, I'm not going to get carried away with, Man United can finish top, this, that, and the other, because it is congested. If we're calling United title challenges now, then Villa are title challenges. Then there's
about 6 teams that within the contention. Look, Liverpool got Man United and Spurs back to back, if I'm not mistaken, right? Let's just say the draw to Man United, the draw to Tottenham Hotspur, which can happen, as we know, is a fairly realistic result. So they've dropped 4 points there, and that means Man City win both their games in hand. That puts Liverpool down to 4th. Like, literally from being 1st to 4th, that's how close it is at the moment. I think, for me personally, where it's going to come down to is a few things. First of all, experienced managers, because obviously being there, done that. That's why I think Spurs are in good hands in that sense, because they know what it takes to obviously be within a race. Lampard doesn't have a clue. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't have a clue. So I feel like that's going to factor into it. Players' mentality. You guys kind of mentioned, Kish, earlier about obviously that Dyer interview after the game. We saw with the documentary Jose Mourinho trying to change the mentality, telling all the players every single game, you got to be bastards. And you're starting to see that now. Obviously, Lamela getting, Marcel sent off, and just in general, the way Spurs are kind of approach each and every game. I think that's going to be the difference this season. I really do, because I think everyone's going to be dropping points. You could quite easily see Man United drop points against Burnley tomorrow and then beat Liverpool, and then just some random shit like that. Because that's the kind of season it's been at the moment. I think regarding Lampard, I think for me personally, if he stays at Chelsea long term, it's going to be a nightmare for Chelsea fans, because they're going to start to get frustrated, because the caliber of players you've got, like, we haven't even mentioned Timo Werner. He's been played out of position every single time. You got Hudson and Doyle, right? Every single time this kid's played, he's been the best player on the pitch, and he's never gets to start. Like, just little things like that. That's going to start to.
Has he been the best player on the pitch every time he's played?
The
last couple games, I guess he came on against Arsenal, and he came on against Arsenal.
From a Chelsea perspective, I'm not
best player for Chelsea against Arsenal. Best player for Chelsea.
Yeah, but the best player for Chelsea, Arsenal is like saying you're the tallest midget.
Of course, but at the end of the day, when we're looking at Chelsea and the way we're playing, you've got to play the form play.
I agree. We should be playing. I just don't want us. I don't. Chelsea fans normally love to gas the thing of Callum Hudson-Odoi. He's a good prospect, but I do think he needs to play. But I just feel like
he's a winger, isn't it? They haven't got that. They got Timo Werner on one wing, and obviously Ziyech has been injured, hasn't he? So they're playing everyone out of position at the moment, which is the issue.
I just think it's the trust. It's the trust thing, man. Like, he's under pressure, so he's making a lot of like mistakes. I'm not saying Lampard is this excellent manager where he can't make mistakes, but at the end of the day, there's some errors that we just don't want to see anymore. It's kind of simple. Like you said, you play players based on their form and their meritocracy, how well they're playing and how well they're training. Well, based on the players that we're seeing who are playing well, how is Hudson-Odoi not even able to get a start? Do you get what I'm saying? So
yeah, well, nobody else is playing well at the moment. So
he doesn't know his best team. He doesn't.
Let's move on from Spurs. I've just realized, not Spurs, Chelsea, because it's been 40 minutes. Let's talk about Man United, another team that's under pressure, of course. 4 semi-finals, 4 L's. You know, I've been arguing all week, and I've just thought, no, fuck these Man United fans because they're deluded. We got listen to this one, lads. Right, you're gonna be this is gonna blow your mind. Got Man United fans, right, saying I'm negative because I said that we bottled the Champions League group. You know, we needed 1 point from 2 games. And we got Man United fans saying we didn't bottle it, apparently. But, you know, it is what it is. Kiss, let's talk about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the pressure that is on Manchester United. It seems at the moment, every time there is pressure on us, like there will be tomorrow, we seem to crumble. So what are your thoughts? Do you think?
To be honest, it's a tough one against Man City because let's be fair, right? You lost in that first half. It was entertaining football. I mentioned this to you yesterday. You know, it was a quality 0-0 first half. Although I know you were probably your heart was racing.
Battered.
Yeah, it was a good game of football. And to be honest, even if you made the right decisions from the bench and brought on the right players, you could have still been embarrassed in that game because it's Manchester City. We've seen what City have done to teams. Even now, recently, they've started coming into their own. So I don't genuinely think it's the result that's the biggest issue. I think it's the fact for a Man United fan, the fact that you've lost 4 semi-finals and the fact that this is rambling on now and he's not won a trophy for Manchester United. I think that must be the annoyance. But in terms of the game itself, I know you're going to disagree with me on this, but I genuinely don't see that even if we made the right decisions, are bringing the right players on, that you would have been likely to lose that game. But that's what I'm saying. You would have still been likely to lose that game. So if it was Tottenham, say if it was against Brentford and he made those decisions and you lose, then fair enough. Like, you should be winning that game. Let's be fair. But against Manchester City, really, should he be judged as much on that one? I wouldn't say so, in my opinion. I think games in the past, like the Champions League one against Basak, you can blame him for that. Against Leipzig, you can blame him for that in that second game. But can you really say that against a strong Man City team that, you know, he should be doing better? Yes, decisions-wise, he should be doing. But in terms of the result, is that a massive shock? Not really for me.
You're right, and the thing is, one of my mates said it well on Touchline Fracas, our recent pod. Seb, he was mentioning this stigma that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can't get over the line, and it's a valid argument to make. But then, like Kish just broke it down there. These 4 semi-finals that Man United have not won, how many can you put down to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Like, he actually made the point of Sevilla.
I said 3 of them.
Yeah, you say 3 of them, but you'd say 3 of them. But
Chelsea game we got battered.
Yeah, Chelsea, fair enough.
And you weren't the favourites.
Exactly. Yes. Man City, both occasions we've been outplayed.
No, you haven't been outplayed. The home leg you were outplayed, yes, but the away leg you quitted yourselves well and you won that game. And the game, and above all, listen, of course, it's a semi-final, so it's anyone's money. But Man City are a better side than Man United. Why is it so surprising that Man City go to Man United and win? They've won something like 7 of their last 10 games at Old Trafford. They're a better team than you, bro. So you losing to them, fair enough. If you want to criticize Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tactics, criticize them. But having him as the sole the sole point of contact to blame for that loss, it's weird to me. And then the Sevilla game as well. The Sevilla game.
Sevilla Europa League, especially. Do you know what I mean?
Bro, you created a ton of chances.
Yeah.
It was
that was the players' fault. That's why I said 3.
There you go then. So that's the point I'm trying to make.
I'll answer your question, Toby. I'll answer your question. I'll tell you why Man United fans are pissed off with this performance here, right? First half, right? Fair play to Man City and Pep Guardiola. And there's no shame in losing to Man City. I'm not throwing this at you to say, as a sort of, because you guys have said it. There's no shame in losing to Man City. We're not a good team. But that's not why I'm saying we bottled it. Firstly, right, the manner in which we approach the game, right, is so negative. Like, there's nobody pressing. There's nobody trying to take any risks. Everyone's playing it safe when we get the ball. And there was no tactics. It was literally hit the ball long and hopefully Rashford gets on the end of it, in behind. There was no manner in which we're going to approach the game. Second half, he doesn't change anything at half time because he's too scared to make a substitution. He brings on Mason Greenwood, right, at 75th minute when the game is practically gone. But we're still in the game at that point. You can still change something. Anyone watching that game, it was quite obvious that we needed to bring on another midfielder because we were getting absolutely bossed in the middle of the park. It was obvious. Van der Beek's on the bench. When does he sub him on? 88th minute when we're 2-0
But then this is my point, though, Usmaan. Even if he does bring on that midfielder and you lose, would you say he bottled it, though?
This is why he bottled it, though, because as a fan, right, and I'm not sure what Daniel thinks about this, obviously, look, for me personally, I'd rather we lost 5-0 in the last 10 minutes than lose 2-0. It doesn't make a difference to me. And L's and L.
No, it definitely does. It definitely does for me.
Yeah, it does.
For me, it doesn't.
So if you made the decision,
I'll give you an example for that. Pochettino, when we were what 3-2 or 4-2, 3-1 or something like that, 4-2 down to Bayern. He makes a substitution and brings on Lamella, brings on another attacker. So we have Kane, Son, Lamella, and whoever on the pitch. Yeah, but how is it different though? Because the game is out of sight. The opposition.
The game wasn't outside for us though. We're 1-0 down with 15 minutes to go. Why did you not roll the dice?
No. But what I'm saying to you is the whole. I'd rather lose 5-0 than lose 2-0. I can't get that because why would you?
Let me explain. Let me explain what I mean by that because obviously that's no context to that statement. What I mean is, I'd rather lose 5-0 going for it, i.e. taking an extra defender off and rolling the dice, than losing 2-0 and keeping our so-called shape. Because basically what happened was, we were 1-0 down, and 15 minutes to go, he subbed on Greenwood, which, again, I was fine about him doing that. But the point being is, why did you not take off a defender? Because we're going to lose. If we lose the game 2-0 in the last 15 minutes, and he keeps the defender on, which he did, then what's the difference between losing 5-0 and saying, no what, Wan-Bissaka come off, let's put an extra midfield in. Let's try and pat them in. Just do something different. We had Tellers on the bench. Luke Shaw had an absolute nightmare of a game, right? He didn't offer nothing going forward, and he was shocking defensively. You could have even put Tellers on, more attacking. Like, this is what I mean. As a manager, that's where you earn your money. Do
you know what it is?
How many times it's just changed the game?
Do you know what it is, Usmaan? There, I think, and I spoke to a lot of United fans about it. I think it's a thing where, like, losing a semi-final, look, you have every right to be angry. You have every right to rant and, like, basically say, could have done this, you could have done that. But I think on the balance of play, it's like, at the end of the day, what more could he really have done to really win that game?
Let me give you all a scenario based with your last teams in it. So, Toby, let's just say it's your team or obviously Daniel's team, right? Let's say you got Hudson-Odoi on the bench, right, Daniel? You're losing 1-0, yeah? 15 minutes on the clock. Toby, you've got, let's say more, I don't know who you got, Lamella, Webb's on the bench. You're 1-0 down, yeah? Jose Mourinho thinks, no, fuck it. Let's just see the game out and try to nick a goal last minute. Or you take a risk, you take off one of your fullbacks because they weren't playing well anyways. It's not like they were doing anything. Take one of them off and bring an extra attacker on because it was going straight to penalties. So it's not like it's going to go to extra time. So let's just say he takes off, I don't know, who's your right back, Aurier. He takes off Aurier and puts Lamella on, or Mora, whoever it is. You lose 3-0, yeah? Or he keeps Aurier on and you lose 2-0. What difference does it make? I'd rather we lost the 3-0 knowing that my manager's thought, no, fuck it. Let me roll the dice. If we lose, we lose.
I can guarantee that if he did that, I can guarantee if he did that, he would have got.
But we lost either way. Yeah. Because we were offering nothing going
But then what I'm saying is either way, you're going to say we bottled it. Because
that's what I'm saying.
If you made them decisions.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear what you're saying. In hindsight, who knows? And obviously it's not happened. But what I'm saying is, and I'm sure as football fans, if you see your manager going for it, right, in the last 15, 20 minutes, like back in the day, Jose used to bring Fellaini on. I know I was never happy with it, but I can understand the method because, it might get us a goal. if you just do something to try and change the outcome of the game, if you watch the whole 90 minutes, it's quite evident that the outcome wasn't going to change because Man City were dominating the ball and we couldn't get a foothold in the game. He had to just flip the script, and he didn't want to do it for whatever reason. And I get what you guys are saying. Oh, you would have said you bottled it either way. But as a fan, if my manager makes 3 changes, and he goes, no, fair enough, let's roll the dice. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. At least try to flip the script. He didn't. He brought Van de Beek on the 88th minute when we're 2-0 down. What is he meant to do? You can sub on Lionel Messi then, and with the game's already lost, it's pointless. Sub him on the 75th minute. He might do something. He might not, but at least the intention's there to change the game. Do you get what I'm saying?
I get your point. I just think, I don't get me wrong, it's fair to criticize Ole Gunnar Solskjaer when he gets it wrong tactically because he's the manager. His job is to set the team out in the best shape possible to win the game. And you can definitely question some of those decisions, his slow substitutions, etc., etc. But ultimately, for me, you lost to a better side. Yeah, you lost to a better side, and I don't think there's any shame with that. I think what I do get your point is it's like you lost and you didn't go down swinging. Like you didn't really put them in under any serious
fight and not throwing any punches. You're just fucking hugging and clinching for most of the fight. It's like at least try and offer something back.
But then in terms of trying, is that not the players' responsibility? How is the manager going to try?
Of course, of course, the players need to take accountability. We know that for every single situation. But as Daniel said with Lampard, sometimes you got to look at the manager, the system that they employ to get the best out of the players. And for me personally, the system was the selection, actually, the team selection. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I thought it was the right team. So I'm not going to be a hypocrite now and say, I don't think Bailly should have played. Because as we've seen, his injury point, just got injured literally the game after.
Yeah, I saw your fans saying, "Oh, why didn't Bailly play?" But then if you play Bailly, he played like 4 games straight. You'd be hearing, "Oh, he's clueless. How can he play Bailly after
Bailly shouldn't be playing that game? There's no chance. He's never made it 5 games.
The only game that I can remember in recent times where he's really messed up his selection was the Leipzig game. Because you could see that second half that as soon as he made the changes, you could have nicked that game in the end because you were so dominant.
We almost scored 3 in the last 10 minutes.
And the fact that he said in his press conference that they're not just going to go to defend and then.
That's the point I'm making. That Leipzig.
But yeah, that point is justified. That's what I'm saying. That's justified.
We're 2-0 down against Leipzig, right? And he had no choice but to roll the dice in it because if you're 2-0 down, there's 10 minutes on the clock. You sub on Pogba, put him further up the pitch. So did we deserve to come back in that game? No, we didn't. But just because you had an overload of players going forward, we created 2 goals that are absolutely proper jammy goals as well. Like not even good football, but that's what you got to do sometimes. You got to just be willing to roll the dice, and that's where managers earn the money. That's why the Peps and the Joses and these guys, Klopps, they're world-class managers because they make the changes that impact the game. And he didn't want to make changes because he was too scared to lose 2 or 3-0 because people are going to say, "Oh,
I get it." Do you know what it is? It's like I've seen it across. Like there's been so many, especially this week on Twitter. Like the United fan base have literally been arguing for the whole. I've
come off Twitter for the last couple of days.
Yeah, no, literally, and I've seen it. It's been mad toxic, and you see some side of the United fans saying, we need to be better. We're settling for mediocrity, this and that, and then you got the other side. It's Ollie's damned if he does, if he's damned if he doesn't. Yeah. So it just depends on what side of the fence you fall on. I think there's nothing wrong in saying it's a bit like the Lampard situation, and where I lie. That's why I'm not part of this Lampard in or out. It's literally, is Lampard good enough to win us a title? Is Ollie good enough to win us a title? If your answer is no, then there's nothing wrong with that. Like, regardless
of... We'll find that this week, won't we, Daniel?
The abuse that Ollie got this week on Twitter, it's as if you have lost to Brentford. That's how it feels. Yeah, the abuse that your fan base has given this week, it's like you've been battered against Brentford. That's how it feels.
They beat Watford 1-0, and then I just see, McTominay is the deadest player. I'm thinking, wait, where's this come from?
But look, that's football fan. Our fan base is probably the most toxic. I've got to throw that out there as well. Like that Watford game was the shittest game I've ever seen. But who cares? Like we made like 10 changes, man.
I saw compilations of about 4 players after that game. I was like, what the hell? It was a 1-0 compilation.
To be honest, I do care about stuff like that. I'm the type. Even if Spurs won 1-0 and I saw the manager making silly decisions and we didn't play well, I will speak on it. So I don't blame your fans for speaking out on that, but I just feel like
if you saw a lineup, you won't be surprised.
I just personally think your fans are way too hypercritical when it comes to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I don't think he's a good enough coach to win big things at United. I don't think he's a good coach altogether. But I also think that your fans won't give him praise when he deserves his praise, and when it's time to criticize him, you make it sound like he's the worst ever manager to play in the league, which isn't the case at all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I hear that point completely. I think I tweeted something out, literally, basically, you know, some fans will never give him credit, and then some fans will never criticize him. That's basically how football Twitter is like. You know, you see that with most fans. It's because he's a legend of the club, isn't it? So some people just blindly follow him, and some people will criticize him regardless. But I hear that point. Yeah, for me personally, we all been too harsh on him. I've been too harsh on him at times as well, so fair play to him. But listen, let's talk about Liverpool. You know, obviously, Man United got Liverpool this week. I know we got Burnley tomorrow as well, but I'm expecting us to beat Cole with Brexit FC in it, so we'll see what happens to them. But in terms of Liverpool, what the hell is going wrong at Liverpool at the moment? Like, they can't. Obviously, I know they're winning the cup, but in terms of the league, they're dropping points left, right, and centre. Kish, is this something you think Liverpool fans need to worry about? You know, they're obviously going to use
I think they should be worried, and the reason why is you can see when the manager's biting back at the press. You know, the statement that he made about the penalty.
He's talking about Man United,
that shows you that he is under pressure. You know, this is the first time in his Liverpool career as a manager, in my opinion, where he's genuinely felt pressure, because he's built the club from where it was and the team that they had to Champions League finalists, runners up in the league, to Champions League winners, league winners, and now really, before the season started, before a ball was kicked, everyone said that this should be Liverpool's league by a canter again this season. You know, everyone said that.
Yeah,
and I think with everything that's happened and kind of the injuries and everything on top of that, it's got to him. It's clearly got to him. And I feel like that won't give his players confidence. I'm sure, you know, you've heard it in the past about Benitez at Liverpool, and Man United players saw that and they thought, we've got him here. When Keegan did it at Newcastle and Fergie and Gary Neville and all the players saw it, they knew that they got him there. There will be opposition players and teams that will be looking at that, and including his own team, thinking, what's happened to the gaffer? Because that, for me, doesn't show any confidence. That shows that he's under serious pressure. Because
I don't agree with this at all.
I think he knows that his players aren't at it. He knows that his players that aren't at tip-top, because the matter of the fact is, you look at their recent results, they're not impressive results. What are the teams that they played against recently? Well, West Brom. West Brom. Who was the other team after that?
Newcastle.
And then Southampton. Yeah, so they've played West Brom, who are second bottom of the league and have been absolutely spanked since that game, right? You've got Newcastle, who just sit back and just wait for that one opportunity. We know this. Yeah. And you've got Southampton, which, to be fair, Southampton, you can give credit because they've got it in their lockers to get the results. You've seen that this season. But again, you'd still expect that Liverpool team to win, in my opinion, right? That's 3 results on the bounce. This isn't just the odd result. You know, this has happened to them a fair few times, and I get the injuries and I get everything else on top of that. But is Salah injured? No. Is Firmino injured? No. Is Mane injured? No. Is that the front 3 that's got them going in the last 3 to 4 seasons?
Well, they've got Henderson, who's better than Pogba as well. He's not injured as well. So
you can't tell me really that, you know, he's got too many excuses, in my opinion. That's just my personal opinion, because out of the players that are injured, realistically, the one player that would be starting would be Virgil van Dijk.
And Joe Gomez.
And Joe Gomez.
So I think with Liverpool, they are playing bad, and it's definitely a cause for concern. I think what you also need to realize is they are playing bad, which means that they have the capacity to play well. And when they play well, even with their deficiencies, they are much better than pretty much all of the sides in the league, with the exception of maybe Man City, with their injuries. I think what you need to see now, what you see now in Liverpool is it's a sort of mini crisis at the back now. Like, we're seeing Jurgen Klopp making mistakes, like playing Jordan Henderson at centre back. We're seeing Trent Alexander-Arnold not being given that protection he normally gets from Henderson when Henderson plays in midfield. We're seeing him not be as effective as he's normally capable of attacking going forward. We're seeing even Thiago, he had a terrible game against Southampton. We saw Sadio Mane, uncharacteristically poor game against Southampton. Salah, he's been poor their last 3 or 4 matches. And then you're seeing a culmination of a bunch of players not playing good football. So for me, I think they are going to get better. But I also think they need to sign a centre-back. If they don't sign a centre-back in the January transfer window, they're not going to retain that title, because it's clear to see that there are issues that stem simply from them not having a commanding centre-back presence right now. Because
I think Phil Jones is available, so one of him.
What's that?
Phil Jones is available, I think, on the free.
So is Davinson Sanchez.
Sanchez and Phil Jones, what you saying?
Yeah, those are the type of centre back.
Rudiger, man, Rudiger.
But bottom line is they need a centre back. If they get a centre
Yeah.
back, they have someone who knows how to defend at the back, who has experience.
Yeah.
They also then push some of their midfielders into midfield positions to help protect that midfield, protect the fullback, and then the team as a whole just flows better.
Look, I think, and yeah, you make a valid point. I think, I don't know, maybe I'm in that kind of mood today, but I am gonna cut them just a tad bit of slack because at the end of the day, look, let's look at it. He's had to play Nat Phillips and Reece and Nico Williams and the I think his name is Reece Williams, the other Williams at the back because of injuries, and he's not been able to trust them. That's why he went into that.
So what?
Hold on. That's why he went into that Southampton game having to play Henderson and Fabinho at centre back. Which, look, at the end of the day, they're good players, but they're not centre back. I know Fabinho has played well there, he's played there at Monaco and that, but Henderson's not a centre back. Like, he's just not a centre back, and they really got done on a set piece where you could argue a commanding centre back organises his line in a better way, absolutely, so that Ings doesn't get that opportunity. So
I think that's more down to Trent. To be
that
honest.
was Trent's fault, though.
He's been bad. He's been bad.
Trent's been bad. Trent's been very, very poor. I think with Sadio Mane, the front line, it just hasn't clicked. I mean, Mane got COVID. He hasn't got the same stats that he had last season. It's been quite a mediocre season for his standards.
His performances have been shocking.
I don't think things have been shocking per se, but go on, continue.
I just think he's been poor. Yeah, compared to what we expect, I think he's been poor in it, and I think it's fair to say that. I just think Liverpool are that team. Maybe you put Man City in that category as well. They can just flip the switch, man. And if they do, like, really and truly, what can you do? Like, how many teams do you trust to go on like a 6-7 game winning streak, not an unbeaten streak that a lot of fan bases like to cling on to?
You know,
win streak
on the bounce, the back. I completely forgot about him. But listen, regarding Liverpool, I give them absolutely no sympathy. I'm not being biased, obviously, you know, genuinely. Now, but look, I hear everyone's points regarding centre backs because, you know, as someone's team that can't defend in hours, I understand the importance of having a proper centre back. Van Dijk's a huge miss for him. It's just one of them things, having that behind you as a midfielder, you don't need to worry. You're not constantly thinking, oh, do I need to come back an extra couple of yards? With Van Dijk being there, you know that I can go further up, and this guy's going to deal with this. It's one of them ones, isn't it? In terms of what you said, in terms of them flipping the script, so to speak, definitely the can do that you've seen with Man City in recent weeks. But the thing with Liverpool is they've hardly played well whole season. Like,
nah, I disagree. They've played well. They played maybe away from home. You can say that,
but doesn't it tell you a lot that you're saying they haven't played well, but they're top of the league? Like,
yeah, no, fair play to them. That's why I commend them on that. That's a huge respect to them. That's the scary part. The fact that I don't think they've been nowhere near their best and they're still at the top.
That first half against us, before we scored that equaliser, it was ridiculous. We could have been battered. Like it could have been 3-4-0. That was good games. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
Man City looked brilliant as well in the first half against you lot. Obviously, they beat Palace, but I'm saying as a whole, I'm sure Liverpool fans would probably say they've got at least another 3 keys to go. They're nowhere near as good as what you'd expect from them. I think a lot of that is down to Van Dijk injury. So I do hear that point. But listen, let's just quickly brush apart. I don't even know if I want to talk about Man City because no one even cares about them. Let's just talk about Arsenal very quickly. You know, Arsenal fans have come out of the caves again. Toby, I'm sure as a Spurs fan, you're getting targeted left, right, and centre. We'll come to you first and foremost, my lad. Arsenal, in their eyes, they're back. What are your thoughts, man?
They're not back because they're still in 11th. They're in 11th. They're clutching at straws to say they're 3 points. They're 3 points behind Chelsea. Yeah, cool stories. You're 3 points behind Chelsea, but you're in 11th. You are in 11th, and as memory serves me well, you've not improved your squad. Yeah, that team is still not good enough, and Arteta is still going to mismanage some of your players. So don't get me wrong. Arsenal have played well in recent weeks. I felt that West Brom performance. I know West Brom are crap, but to lay siege to West Brom's goal like that and to the football they were playing, that was good. That was really good, and you can commend them for that. But they're not a good side. They're not a good side. They can celebrate winning 3 games on the spin because they lost 8 of their opening 14 matches. So of course you're going to celebrate that. But I still think it's a long way to go before we're talking about Arsenal as being a serious contender for top 4, being a good side again.
Kish, what do you reckon to that? What do you reckon?
Yeah, to be honest, I agree, and I think it's a couple of reasons really. We said that he stumbled upon Smith Rowe as soon as he was struggling to get that creativity in the team, and with Saka as well playing so well. But the one thing you'll get with young players like Saka and Smith Rowe is you'll get regular dips because they're like sponges at that age. It's like a learning process where, as well as the highs are, the lows will happen, and it will be interesting to see how Arteta manages that, because you look on a couple of occasions, Guendouzi, for example, the way he's handled him, and you can see at Hertha Berlin that he's performing really well, to be honest. And there's rumours that he's trying to bring him back. So, until he sorts out these issues that he's having, I think the transfer window for Arsenal is bigger than anything, because it looks like he's trying to get rid of the deadwood. I think what's his name? The
Kolasinac is gone.
Kolasinac is gone. Socrates is due to go soon as well. I think what's his name?
Ozil's gone.
Ozil's due to leave as well. So it looks like he's getting rid of the players. But as I've mentioned all season, the issue with Arsenal is the fact that Ceballos, to me, is just not good enough. Similar to us in terms of like Lo Celso, when he's fit, even then he does lack that bit of quality. And I think until Arsenal get that, you can't rely on a 19 or 20-year-old Smith Rowe and Saka to do the bits for you, when really they should be at the stage of their careers where someone like an Ozil starts and they get the odd game here or there, to be embedded in the squad. But unfortunately, Arteta has no choice but to play these players to get them out of a hold and bring legs and energy into the squad, which kind of shows where they're at. And yeah, fantastic 3 wins on the bounce. I think 4, including the FA Cup.
It's 4.
Good for them. But do I see them as top 4 challengers? Nah, I literally see them between the positions of 7th and 8th, in my opinion, anyways.
Wow, right, okay.
Daniel,
what do you reckon to that? I spoke to Moose the other day, and he says that they're top 4 challengers. What do you reckon to that?
Come on, it's not even to be disrespectful, but look, as much as Chelsea aren't playing great, I have great faith in that we will still get a run which will put us in contention to get the top 4 place, even if people are predicting that we won't finish there. Do you have that same faith in Arsenal? The same way they were losing games, they could easily start losing games again. Like, Arsenal are that inconsistent. Like, do you see this winning streak keeping up? All it takes is one game for you to come back down to earth. Like, as Chelsea fans realised that it was losing to Everton that literally toppled everything down for us. So it only takes one game to cause that momentum or whatever they have right now to come back down to earth. But look, Arsenal fans are always going to be the same. Me and Dan always talk about it. Me and Lawless have literally, if you see our DMs, we've spoken about the process. Like, it's all about that. They go on the winning streak, they gas themselves up, they talk about the players, this and that, blah blah blah. It comes back down to earth and everyone's screaming. At least some fans are at least consistent in saying that Arteta is not the guy. It's the same thing with Lampard, same thing with Oli. Are these guys the guys to win you things, to get you back to the top? They're not. So you gotta just bide your time, and when it's the right time, they will get sacked because their quality will show.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think personally, it's good. Look, I'm missing Arsenal fan TV. I'm not switching on for at least a couple of weeks now. Hopefully they can have a humble pie very shortly. Listen, we're gonna finish off with a couple of score predictions, and then we'll wrap it. We're not gonna mention the FA Cup because obviously it's rigged. Might not getting hard games and all that good stuff. But listen, first and foremost, I'm trying to think of which game. You know what? We'll just do our teams in it. Right, Tottenham against Fulham. I don't even know why I'm bothering with this one. Toby, what do you reckon the score's going to be?
2-1 or 3-1. I don't think Fulham are going to make it easy for us, but maybe the sort of short-term notice to prepare for the game, even though they were scheduled to face Chelsea, might sort of work in our favour. I don't think we're going to stroll. I don't think we're going to stroll to victory. I think you've seen a much more disciplined Fulham side in recent months, and I feel like you've seen a team that are very quick in transition. Like, they got fast players and can definitely hit you on the counter. So I don't see us keeping a clean sheet, but I think we'll win that game 2 or 3-1.
Fair enough. Kish, what do you reckon?
Yeah, again, I saw Fulham's recent results. I think they've got 3 draws on the bounce, and on another day, it would have been a couple of wins rather than draws. Scott Parker's really turned it around so far.
Draw, yes,
for them. And again, it's going to be one of those where it's going to be a horrible watch as a Tottenham fan, I think. I genuinely do. But I think we're going to sneak it 2-0, I think, at the end. But it won't be a good watch for me anyways.
All right, fair enough. Daniel, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think I will agree with, like, just keep the consensus. I think it'll be a tight win. I'm not really a fan of Fulham. I don't think they're a great side to watch. They're not that great either. Scott Parker's another inexperienced manager as well. I think the job, obviously, I don't think anyone necessarily is keeping Fulham in the league, but again, it's a tough job for him, tough ask to keep him, to tell him to stay in the league. But yeah, I'll go 2-1 Tottenham.
We've got a lot of people saying draws here in the chat. We've got 1-1 and a 2-2. I'm gonna say 4-0 Spurs, man. Harry Kane is sort of just gonna rip them on you.
By the way, Brighton have signed Moises Caicedo, the guy that you guys were in talks with.
I don't want to talk about it. Our club is an absolute joke. Listen, if he turns out to be the next Kante, I'm gonna lose my shit. But we'll have to see what I'm going in there. Hopefully, Basuma might be.
Good signing for Brighton, though. Good signing.
Yeah,
for Brighton.
well, I don't even know where to scout it from. I wonder if they're going from us. Who knows? But listen, I don't know which games because obviously Man United got Burnley, but I don't really care about that one. We'll do Arsenal, Chelsea. What do you reckon, Daniel? It's not Chelsea. It's Crystal Palace. Arsenal against Crystal
Palace.
Yeah.
I actually think that could be the game that stops the maybe not humble pie, but I think it'll be a draw. I think it'll be 2-2.
Eze is an absolute baller, man. What a player he is. Toby, what do you reckon? Arsenal hosting Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace have the players to hurt them, but they're just too topsy-turvy. And I think with a game like this, Roy Hodgson's going to park the bus. I think Arsenal will nick that game 2-1.
2-1. All right, okay, fair enough. Kish, what do you reckon?
I think Zaha has a couple of things to prove against Arsenal, especially after signing Pepe instead of him. I think he's going to be on top form for this. I can see 2-1 Palace.
Okay, fair. I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal as well. I think they'll just about hold on. Right, we'll do 1 Chelsea, 1 Man United. Chelsea against Leicester. I believe that's on Tuesday, actually. So, yeah, we'll get
Chelsea for Leicester.
No, they got Fulham.
Fulham and then
they got Fulham. Do I really want to talk about that? I guess it's a bit dead.
No, the Fulham game's cancelled because Fulham are playing us.
No, it's not. They moved it to Saturday.
It's
Saturday 5:30.
Oh, okay. So we're playing our game in hand, and you're not playing this week, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, because you got 2 games. What do you reckon? Fulham against Chelsea, Daniel?
Oh no, we'll beat Fulham. I don't know about the Leicester game, but we'll beat Fulham. I say we'd win. Pardon?
No, I was about to say that's some dead rubber game, and it really should be beating them, isn't it?
Yeah. I just think because of the stakes, like you lose to Fulham, the fan base will explode. So I just think that won't happen. It won't be to Fulham that we'll lose our next game. But yeah, I think we'll win. I would say 3-0.
Bloody hell, fair enough. Toby, what do you reckon?
They'll win that game. That's what they do best. They bash the lower sides in the league, innit? They can't beat any side.
Yeah, that's it. They can't beat any of the top 8.
Once they face a side 9th place or higher, they get nosebleeds, innit? So I think I reckon it'll end maybe 3-1. 3-1. I can see that ending.
A lot of people said 2-1. Kish, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think Ziyech will be like prime Kaka in that game, to be honest. So it'll be because obviously it's Fulham, innit? So I think it'll be 3-1 Chelsea.
Yeah, this is so funny. You've just done a prediction for your own team against Fulham, right? And you just proper picked up Fulham against you.
You know what I mean?
And then
Chelsea have the players.
It's not even the players, it's the approach, man. I feel like
we know as Spurs fan what Mourinho's going to do. Do you know what I mean?
That's what I'm expecting. You should win 4-0 really against Fulham with the attack that you've got in it. But we'll have to wait and see what he does. For me personally, I think it's going to be 3-0 Chelsea. The big one off the weekend or the next week fixture is obviously Man United against Liverpool, isn't it, boys? Daniel, what do you reckon? It's at Anfield as well.
I think Liverpool win that game, man. I don't see how you. Do you know what? If you go into that game, to play, you know how you lot played last year.
I want a draw.
You counter attack. You're probably one of the best. Aside from Tottenham, you're one of the best counter attacking teams when that's how you set up. But I just think I'll give Liverpool the edge. I'll give them Champions edge because in the big games they do tend to come to the party, innit? So I'd say 3-1 Liverpool.
Oh, fuck me, man. If we lose 3-1 to them, I can't show my face on the WhatsApp group because you know what, God. Yeah. I'm going to get blasted. Tell me what you reckon.
I think it's a very tough game for Liverpool because we've seen that defensively they're so vulnerable on the counter, especially with these players injured as well. And Man United, look at the performance last season. Liverpool won 2-0, but Man United had a heck of a lot of chances to get something out of that game. Initially, my head is probably thinking, you know what, this could actually end a draw, but I just need United to lose so badly, and I feel like Liverpool are going to maintain this this record at home. So I'm going for a sneaky Liverpool 2-1 win. Sneaky.
Okay, fair. Kish, what do you reckon?
Yeah, again, similar. I think Liverpool have just turned up in the big games this season when they played, the likes of City. They played Tottenham. I think they played. Have they already played Chelsea? Yeah, they always seem to turn up, and I can see them. I can see them turning on the switch against Man United. So, to be honest, I think it will be 3-1 Liverpool.
Yeah, no, I think we're going to lose as well, sadly. But I'm going to pretend I didn't say that. We're going to go for a cheeky draw. 1-1. Come on, United. Come on. Hopefully we can get something out of the game, because obviously we've got Burnley tomorrow, which would put us top. But listen, that is the end of the show. Let us know your score prediction. Obviously, everything that we've discussed. Do you think Arsenal's bubble is going to be based against Crystal Palace, as the guys have suggested? Is Lampard a fraud, or fuck Frank, whatever you want to call it? And obviously everything else that we've discussed. As always, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Before we go, Toby, if you want to just shout out where the man them can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Now, I recently just created my new channel. Just one word, Tottenham Tobes. I got my first sort of upload or stream or whatever coming on Wednesday. But if you ain't got YouTube and you want to follow me on Instagram, again, Tottenham Tobes there, and on Twitter, Tottenham Tobes, just one word.
Yeah, the socials will be down below as well, obviously, if you forget. Daniel, where can they find you, brother?
Literally the same as seen on screen. If you want to follow my personal stuff, my tweets and all of that, but for all my content, Eyes on the Ball TV, on every single platform, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. So yeah.
To see you. And Kish, last but not least,
for better bias Spurs content, just follow me on on Twitter and Instagram, and we're good to go.
Oh god, you Spurs fans, you're cracking up, man. Every time something happens, it's sagging me. But listen, as always, absolute pleasure. Just going to quickly finish on saying, no one cares about the FA Cup. It is what it is. It's an irrelevant trophy. It doesn't matter. Neither does the Carabao Cup. They're all irrelevant, all right? Only the Community Shield that matters, isn't it? But listen, stay tuned tomorrow. We got the watch along. Hopefully, we don't lose to Brexit FC, because it's going to be a meltdown 2.0. But listen, we'll be back tomorrow after the game with a fan calling show. Follow me on Usmaan Talks United if you want to get involved. Apart from that,